to fly out to Hawaii, see the ocean blue.
Go places that I've never been, do the things I love to do.
Now, American Airlines gives you Maui and Honolulu, two exciting Hawaiian destinations. Your choice every day.
Wait a second. Did you see any Hawaiians in that Hawaii? Yeah, me neither. But who cares about those people anyway? Respectful and caring people, that's who. But for a long time, that's not how developers have treated Hawaii and us, the Hawaiians. We call ourselves the Kanaka Maoli, the original inhabitants of this island nation. Visitors come here expecting sun, sand, and fun. What they get is a whitewashed version of our history and culture. Because of that, they never really get to know us. A little over 30 years ago, one of Maui's richest cultural sites was destroyed. But just like so many other desecrations, it was hidden and covered up. Today, we are telling its story so you know what happened. It can help us ho'oponopono, put right the wrongs of the past. In the 1980s, the tourism industry in Hawaii was booming. International developers swooped in, looking for places to build luxury resorts and capitalize on the influx of tourists. Maui, with its beautiful beaches, was a prime target. Developers were particularly interested in two areas, Honokahua Bay in West Maui and Kahamenini Bay in South Maui. One developer planned to build a Ritz-Carlton hotel, while the other planned the Grand Hyatt Wailea, now known as the Grand Wailea. The two developers hired the same archaeological firm and consulted with the same cultural advisory group. Both the Honokahua and Kahamenini areas had sand dunes where iwi kupuna, the bones of our ancestors, were buried. In Kanaka Maoli culture, sandy areas have been used as burial grounds for over a millennium. Our kupuna, our ancestors, were buried in the sand so that their iwi, their bones, and their essence would become part of the land, or aina. We believe that the living and the dead share a kuleana to watch over and protect the land and the people of the area where they lived. This is how we remain connected as a people, generation to generation.
This was a huge, huge village, all along the southwest side of Maui. There's a lot of ali'is from Big Island. They wanted to take over Maui, so they had to fight the people that lived here. And there was a lot of war fought right in this area here. And we got burials.
But developers didn't care if their resorts whitewashed Maui and its rich cultural history. Neither did our state and county officials, including the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, who all signed off on these two mega hotel projects. Unsurprisingly, as developers broke ground in Honokahua, they hit ancient Hawaiian burials. They expected to find a few dozen, but instead there were more than 1,000. But even that discovery didn't stop the desecration, and the digging continued. When Kanaka Maoli from other islands found out, they traveled to Maui to put a stop to it.
We have to stop the state from giving permits to developers to take our bones out. We have to stop the State Historic Preservation Office allowing it. We have to stop the issuing of permits that allow the desecration of ourselves as Native Hawaiians. And that's why we're here, to stop it. We're taking a stand here at Honokahua, and we'll be taking a stand at every island where the bones are going to be taken out. We don't want them out, and we want these bones here returned.
We speak for thousands of years of Hawaiians before and thousands to come. Regardless of what the other nationalities may think, we as Hawaiians think this is sacrilegious. It's against our traditional beliefs, and it has to stop.
Iwi protectors rallied to stop the desecration and protect the burials at Honokahua. And they succeeded. The Ritz-Carlton was redesigned and moved Mauka up the hill. The burials were returned. Today, the Honokahua Burial Preserve is a recognized wahipana, a storied and sacred place, and cannot be disturbed again. But what about the Grand Wailea? In March 1989, at the same time that Honokahua's front page news, the Grand Hyatt Wailea planner wrote a memo for the developer in which he noted, both the Office of Hawaiian Affairs and State has cooperated and responded very well in maintaining a low profile of the project by keeping public attention away from the Wailea archaeological sites. So what did they find at the Grand Wailea that they wanted to keep public attention away from? Once again, hundreds and hundreds of ancient Hawaiian burials. Many were found just mauka of the beach.
This is an area that they found many iwi kupuna and took them out and moved them. Some of them, they say they couldn't get them out, so they left them. And we know from past experience that when you take concentrations of burials out of an area, chances are there are more burials. They've taken and disinterred full burials. By what that I mean, they were in their place, buried with burial goods, some of them with the necklaces that you see, the niho palaua. Some of them had fish hooks.
Burials were also found in the sediment basin near the Humu Humu Nuku Nuku Apua'a restaurant and the luau grounds.
Hawaiians died by the thousands. That's how we went from almost 1 million people down to 40,000. And here in this place, we hold luau's on top of where the children were placed.
In a follow-up memo, the Grand Wailea planner wrote, the archaeologists have indicated that finding new burials should be avoided, if possible, because it would raise public concerns.
I interviewed a gentleman who did the heavy equipment at this place when they were building this hotel. And what he told me was that they dug a water line along this south boundary. And when they dug the water line, it had to be deep, at least 20, 25 feet deep and wide. And what they were finding were babies, many babies. I said, well, what did you do with them? And he said, there was one particular person who liked to go and get the skeletal remains, and he would take them and put them into boxes. Another workman from that time said that there were trucks that came, like flatbed trucks, that came and got the cardboard boxes and took them out for like 2.5 weeks. They came and got the boxes and took them off property.
Today, there are only 2 officially recognized burial preserves on site. One is unmarked. They have no views of the mountains or the ocean, which is customary for traditional burial grounds. And they are wedged between a large parking structure, a noisy access road, and a wing of the hotel, so our kupuna cannot rest in peace.
In the year that the hotel was to open, April 1991, the Burial Council was reported that there were 340 minimum individuals that needed to be reinterred.
What part of this land our kupuna came from? We don't know. There's nothing here that's specified where the burials came from.
And the hotel will not admit to their own studies. I mean, it's at the State Historic Preservation Department. That's where we got the information. They will not admit to how many burials they have desecrated and left in this land here.
Unfortunately, Grand Wailea's poor stewardship goes beyond our iwi kupuna. The Grand Wailea is one of the largest private water users on Maui, taking almost 1 million gallons per day, and it's no secret how they're using it all. Their extravagant water usage infringes on the water rights of Kanaka Maule and the community at large.
Our sources for water are basically only in two areas, and they both are on the mountain. Here, on this side, known as Navaiha. So the only way that they get water resources is from our area. And our aquifers are already straining. And within the last 2 years, we've had water shortages. In the central area, a lot of people were asked to reduce their usage, while places like the Grand Wailea continue to use the same amount of water. There was no restriction to the south side, but to the area that actually has its own water resource, there was restriction. So it's not fair to me as one who has a birthright water right, which comes through the property that I am on, which is Kuleana, ancestral lands, and to basically have it wasted on a resort.
They also haven't taken care of Kahamanini Bay. A 2018 state report on impaired waters noted some pollution levels were not in compliance with federal standards. It looks pretty, but trust us, you might be better off swimming somewhere else. They also built over the old McKenna Road that goes along the coast. Cultural sites and burials were built along these historic roads, and so this history has been erased. So, the Grand Wailea has done bad things, and now they should fix it. That's the end of the story, right? We wish it was. In 2018, the new owners of Grand Wailea requested permits for another round of construction on the property. They want to construct a new building right next to the unmarked burial site.
How much are they going to disturb even more kupunas if they do the digging?
That's the Wailea wing. From that building, they're supposed to come out 140 feet. 140 feet definitely comes up to the preserve. But that's supposed to be how big or how actually wide this building is. Nothing is marked, so how do we know exactly if they're going to be impeding on the burial preserve when they try and do what they want to do here?
They plan to create 150 new units,
which means 150 more showers, 150 more sinks, 150 more toilets, and then they want to make a bigger infinity pool or lap pool.
They plan to expand the adult pool in an area where a concentration of Hawaiian burials was removed.
They're really going to make a giant pool that comes all the way from the second floor of the main building right there, down in increments. Each level of the pool structure has like about 20 to 40 drains. They go down. Some of them are like 40 feet down.
That pool expansion would disturb any remaining iwi kupuna and waste more water. But they don't plan to do anything to prepare for sea level rise, which will inevitably affect their resort and then require hasty fixes because they didn't plan ahead. The people they displace would have always thought about how to take care of this place for generations to come.
And so this is why Malama Kakanilua, Ho'oponopono O Makena, and Pele Defense Fund intervened in this project.
Some more. I mean, it's not just about building size or floors or bedrooms or what they do. It's about digging us up again, man, and that has to stop.
Today, the Grand Wailea and the Ritz-Carlton Kapalua are both owned by subsidiaries of the Blackstone Group, one of the largest investment funds in the world.
The money generated from this, it doesn't stay here with us. It goes to the owners who are one of the most influential and richest groups in the world, and that's Blackstone.
The odds is against us. You know what I mean? We don't can afford an attorney, but we trying. These guys, they got no problem paying for an attorney. They can pay for one every day of the whole year. You know what I mean?
Just like in the 1980s, we still face an uphill battle to protect our iwi kupuna and our aina.
LLC. Why can't they be satisfied with what they have? It's greed. It's development. It's disrespectful.
Grand Wailea, you guys are really bad, Pilau, and you should tell all the tourists that come there what your historical background is all about.
Up against things we not can take on, but we still gotta say. We still gotta say. This is our kupuna. This belongs to the land. This is where the land we're from. This is us.
Our history is being taken along with our iwi. When you take our iwi and you take those sacred places, you take those historic places, then you remove us from the board. You remove us from history. You erase us.
It is time to finally tell the truth about Kahaminini and what was desecrated there. We want a full accounting of all iwi kupuna, all cultural artifacts and sites, everything that was destroyed or removed from this place. Bring back the historic road and the cultural remains. Expand the number of burial preserves and commit to no future ground disturbances. Help us convince the owners of the Grand Wailea and our local officials that Hawaiian burials matter, Hawaiian rights matter. Go to www.protecthawaiianburials.com or call 808-214-4411. Let's make right the wrongs of the past.
Let our kupuna be in peace.
Standing here with my head in my hands, these foreigners destroying our sacred lands, feeling the pain with every grand ascent they take, desecration of where our kupuna lay. Where's humanity? Can't go on this way. It's killing me each and every day. I close my eyes, trying not to cry, but the pain's so great, tears roll down my face. Oh, Akua, help me, save them, I pray. Oh, Kupuna.